Okay, well, hello, Minister Nate Horner. Thank you very much for joining me today at the Alberta in Arabic.
Nice to join you, Sam. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So we're here today to talk about the importance of the halal mortgage or the alternative financing in Alberta. You know, this is a very important topic to a specific, mainly for the Muslim Albertan Muslims community here in Alberta and probably around the country as well. So I would like first to thank you for your time, and we're looking forward to hear from your insight as well.
Excellent. No, it's great to be with you. I guess broadly, I'd just say, Sam, this was something that was important to the premier. Made clear that it was a campaign initiative that we wanted to follow through on, but also it was something that we had financial institutions coming to us saying, "Hey, could you help us enable this? We think that this product would be very successful in Alberta."
I would like to start with that is with your if you can share briefly with your understanding of what is it the halal mortgage from your perspective as a government. What's your understanding of it first?
Well, from our perspective, we had to make changes within our legislation. So it was working with a credit union in the first place. That's how this began. But our acts are very specific. The wording in the legislation that empowers the credit unions is very specific. So we needed to make changes that would allow for halal mortgages and like a lot of changes in vocabulary and specific words around interest and allowing for other terminology that still allowed them to offer these products, still kept the appropriate guardrails.
So were there any specific challenges in terms of regulations that has to be changed in order to implement these new alternative financing?
Well, one of the things that the department made very clear is that you don't want to get this wrong, because if you make the changes and then the financial institution develops the product, and then it's found that you're contravening the act in some way, and you have to put a pause on everything and circle back and consult and fix it again. You can really sterilize that product's potential in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to take our time and make sure we got it right. I think there's other jurisdictions, other provinces in the country that are watching us and want to make sure that we get it right. So we took our time with it, and the changes that we have made. I guess that's already happened in the financial statute that will act in the fall. We think we'll check that box and complete the task for us.
If you don't allow me to ask again, is there any specific challenge like is still on the table? Can you just name one so at least our audience can understand what kind of challenges we're talking about?
I think there's lots of challenges, but I'd say they're more in the hands of the financial institutions now. We're confident that the changes we've made will enable these products, but they're still going to have to go out into the community, talk to the community about the potential for these products, bring them to market, and prove them successful. So lots of challenges, but it's more so on the financial institutions than it is on the government of Alberta, from my perspective.
So almost for the last 2 years, the Premier of Alberta addressed this. She talked about it openly, and that was like a big news within the Muslim community in Alberta. But yet, still, 2 years after, almost not specific, not quite, but we're just hearing maybe political statements here and there. What do you think? Is there any time frame the government put on the financial institutions to come up with a new product? Make it simple. When are we going to see something?
Well, they've been working at this for years, so I would expect it would be soon. They were putting pressure on us to move fast on our end, so now it'll be up to them. But I'm not in a position to direct them with a timeline. We did this for them because they asked us to.
Yeah. So really, it's in the hand of financial institution. That's all what it is. So if that's the case, what is the government role beside just making it and then saying that we want to see some new product in Alberta? Is there any influence, any interest, any directions, any feedback to these financial institutions on how fast or how to do this? Or this is strictly between consumers and financial institutions, and the government just like a mediator?
Well, we're kind of a facilitator, I would say. We had to do this to make it possible, but I think also we're committed, cheerleaders too.
Right.
We're very optimistic that this will provide more home ownership opportunities for many different Albertans. But I think the one thing we can do is, keep the conversation going. We talk to a lot of different financial institutions. I have conversations with ATB and the like as well. So once it proves successful to potentially be offered by more banks, we can kind of lead that conversation. We don't have direct control the way we do with legislation that enables ATB and the credit unions. But I think just showing leadership, no other province has done this yet. We have. As slow as it may seem for you, sir, it's fast when things are novel and new. It takes time. So I think just by, being proud of it and continuing the conversation.
So far, is it the credit union is the financial institution that's working on this, or in conjunction with the ATB bank, or ATB has nothing to do with it so far?
ATB's watching closely, but it was the credit union that began the process.
So when the credit union come up with their new rulings and regulations, does that mean all other banks will just follow suit, or that each bank then they're going to come up with their own version of the halal mortgage? If you have any idea about that.
Well, we wanted to make sure the rules allowed them to create permissible products. I would say for this specific credit union, they've already invested millions of dollars in this. Through software platforms and the like, so they're very committed, and that's why I'm quite certain they'll have a product out to the market shortly, because they've made that commitment. I think the other banks will want to see that it's a viable product and that it's successful, and they'll have their own challenges regarding software and the like of how to make it possible.
Okay. So, Minister Horner, how do you see the halal mortgage contributing to the economy of Alberta by facilitating this inclusivity? Like, is there any study that been made about what kind of revenue, what kind of economic impact that halal mortgage we're gonna see in Alberta?
I don't have a number in front of me, Sam, but I know the department has done some work on that. There's a lot of possibilities and opportunity. The market is huge, looking at other jurisdictions. So they know that the potential is there. I don't have a specific number to share with you, but we think it could be substantial.
Perfect. I have two questions to ask, if you hopefully your time permitted. When we hear the word halal mortgage, I mean, all alternative financing, in Alberta or maybe in the West, there's a segment of the population might feel these kind of like a strange terminologies might trigger some kind of negative reaction. What do you say to those people who look into this halal mortgage as a sign of influencing Canadian culture?
Well, I think I would just tell those people to just, educate themselves a little more on what it actually means and represents. I know even the federal government, when they spoke about this, there was blowback in certain ways, and I think they, adopted the terminology alternative financing, and we've followed suit to try to keep that aligned. But it's really just a different way of financing. So once you get your head around that, I don't really think it's that controversial. People think it's free. So people think that if there's no interest, then it must be free, and then the government must be subsidizing it in some way. And that's not happening. It's just an alternative financing model.
Right. And maybe also it's a statement by the Canadian politicians and Albertan politicians acknowledging the role of different visible minorities. Specifically, we're talking here the Muslim community in Alberta. This is also a statement that there's a big community here in Alberta need to be recognized. We need to make their lives more inclusive with a bigger society.
Like, are you asking if we would
Yes.
get a statement?
Is that a statement of the Muslim community in Alberta is growing and is important and is vital? Piece of
I think it is. I think it is. I think us doing this is a statement about, you know, the importance of that community and the size of that community and the growth of that community, and also a statement about Alberta overall. You know, that we're maybe not what everyone thinks we are. We're, you know, a welcoming, diverse place that's open to new ideas, and we're not scared to take the lead.
Wonderful. So, Minister, any last word to the Muslim community in Alberta you'd like to say or address in regard to the halal or the alternative financing or the halal mortgage?
Just that we're proud of this work. Apologies if it felt like it took too long, but I know the credit union that we were working with will have a product out shortly, and I certainly hope it's successful. We put a lot of thought and effort into ensuring that it could be. So I hope it's used.
And we'll hope so there's no timeline. You know, it could be months, years before we see anything from your.
I would expect something soon. I'm guessing here, Sam, but I would think within this year, just knowing the investment that they've put into their software. But I shouldn't speak on their behalf. But I would think they've been at this a couple of years before we started, so I would think it must be soon.
Wonderful. I really appreciate your time, Minister Horner. That's really a pleasure for me to have you here with us on this program. Also, I want to wish you and wish your family as well Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And looking forward to hear some new announcement about this halal financing in Alberta, because there's a huge people are waiting, calling, saying when. So hopefully we're going to hear something soon. Thank you very much for your time, Minister.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Absolutely. You have a good one. Bye-bye.